We see their right hip kick forward in the downswing. Now that can cause me to move on to my toe line too quickly. Hi everyone, in today's video we are going to be covering all things footwork, and I'm going to be discussing some of the common things I would see in poor footwork and some preferences of mine too. So let's get into it. So poor footwork and leg work are some of the most common things that I would see on my lesson tee. And don't get me wrong, you are going to find players out there like Justin Thomas and others that do turn their hips loads, get up on their toes and are able to make decent contact. But for a lot of us, that isn't going to be the case. And some of the things I would see in players are, they would work to the top of their swing, and let's just assume it's pretty good for the moment. They would then start to attempt to clear their hips. And in an effort to clear their hips or get their hips out of the way, sometimes we see their right hip kick forward in the downswing. Now that can cause me to move on to my toe line too quickly, and that can cause a couple of things. The first thing it can potentially cause is my right hip to fire forward. I lose space and end up releasing the golf club. The second thing it can really cause is if I'm not that flexible, I can work to the top of my swing, start to kick my right hip out in an effort to turn, go up onto my right toe, and you can see now from this down the line view that my hands just fire out in front of me and I'm likely to be outside the ball line and commonly wipe back across it. Some other flaws in this would also be your ability to push forward. Now, in the golf swing, there has to be a blend of forward movement and rotational, okay? So for players that go to the top and try and clear too much, they go straight into a rotational state. And again, you can see here that I pop onto my toes and my hands kick out in front. Whereas we know, after lots of measurements on all the systems that we use, that the best players in the world do actually move their pelvis forward an amount and then rotate it. And that forward amount generally ranges between 4 to 7 inches, I believe. And that forward movement really helps the player get forward, use their lead leg to push up and use the ground, but also allow some shaft lean. Because if I just set up here, I'm behind or level with the ball, and then as I move myself forward, the shaft would generally come with me. So in situations like that, that's where some of my preferred footwork would come in. And I personally am a fan of the banking of the right foot. So into transition, allowing that right foot to start arching inwards, allowing my right knee to start working towards my left knee. And that would almost be the first stage of my downswing. So as I start working to the top, my first move is I start shifting across, I start banking my feet. I think a good indication for me is that my right heel, if I was to draw a line out here, stays ahead of my toe line for that little bit longer. So as I start working into the downswing and start shifting, you can see here that my right heel is still in front of my toes. And then as I start working a little bit further down, I begin to turn on rotation. Now that's going to do a couple of things for me. The first piece, which was hopefully pretty obvious there, is that as I start banking my feet, my pressure starts moving forward, I start shifting forward, and it's going to be pretty easy to get into the back of the ball. The second thing that's really good for is, from a down the line view, is that you will also see that my pressure stays back a little bit longer. That thrusty move, that right hip kicking out move starts to disappear. So as I start shifting down, banking my feet, you can see now that my heel stays back, meaning my bum will stay back for a little bit longer, and then I can rotate and release afterwards. Now, I have a few drills for this that I like. So if you are a player that moves to the top and you feel like your right heel kicks out and starts going this way, and then you can't get forward, your hips spin, and then you either wipe across it or come over the top, then this is definitely the drill for you. So I've just got a water bottle here, and what I'm going to do with this water bottle is I'm going to place it just on my right heel once I've taken a dress. Now, the task here is to not knock over the water bottle. So as I start my downswing, I would move away from the water bottle and then rotate inside of it, not touching it. Whereas if you was to perform this move poorly, you would work to the top and you would find that as you hit the ball, the water bottle would have fallen over. So it is a good task, and it's one of my favorites for feeling like my pressure moves forward. So as I work to the top, start moving away and then rotate afterwards. So in a shot, that would hopefully look something like this. And I really felt there that I had shifted forward. And when I perform this drill, it is quite important that both centres don't move forward. So what I mean by that is we have our upper centre and our lower centre. What I'm not looking for is for me to start throwing everything forward. It is purely feeling my lower half shifting, that foot banking, and then rotating through. So one more time. And there we go. So I really feel like there's a lot of club on the back of the ball. So the second drill I'm going to show you is one that I use a little bit more commonly. And this is one again to stop the right heel kicking up, the knee kicking out, pushing the club head further away from you. And here I just have a training aid called the swing plate, which is a metal plate with a sleeve coming out of there. And you can just pop your tour stick into that sleeve and then adjust it onto various angles. A fantastic training aid that I use for many different things, but one you're probably going to see me use quite a bit in various videos. So if you're on a range that doesn't have grass, or you're on a range with some hitting mats like this indoors, then this is the perfect training aid. And all I want you to do is pop that in there like so, and we're just going to place that down just on my foot line there. And I'm going to angle it relatively low to the ground because I literally just want it to cover up to my shins. And then I'm going to push it backwards a little bit. And I just want the center of the stick to be in the middle of my body here. And I'm going to stand about a club head width away from that. Now from here, I would start to rehearse how would I go to the top of my swing and pass this stick without touching it, okay? So if you get this wrong, the first thing you're going to see is that your shin will hit this pretty quickly. So the task is, how can I pass through and then rotate around it into the finish? And every time I perform this, I think this is one of my favorite ones because of this, but every time I perform this, I really do feel like two things happen. My bum stays back and I shift forward. And it's quite an interesting one because it's one that we all want to understand and learn, but this is one of my favorite drills for understanding, and you still get that nice rotation. And when I finish, I do feel quite a bit of pressure in that left hip, which is a nice thing. It's not necessarily a negative at all. So I am just going to hit one or two shots with this as well. So again, working to the top, trying to pass the stick without falling into it. And again, this feels like I'm getting really far forward. This one, again, probably one of the reasons I like it so much, is I feel like my knees are really knitted together, really neat knees here. Whereas, of course, if you're a player that feels like your knees kick out and your legs fly around too much, then this can be it. And again, I tend to find that players that kick out like that really struggle with some heel strikes. And this is one way to really pull the strike pattern back in. Let's see if I can demonstrate and do one for you. I really feel like I got into the back of the ball there. That felt great. So one more. Again, working to the top, passing through, rotating into impact to feel what that's like. A couple of exaggerated ones. Now I didn't hit that one. I think I've overcooked that, but still a really nice way to practice with some feedback. So thank you for watching. I hope that video made some sense and you've got a better idea into how I like the footwork to move and how that can really help you gain better strikes, compression, and hopefully move path as well. So thanks again for watching, and if you did like my video, please give it the thumbs up, and if you could subscribe, it would really mean a lot and it would really help the channel. So thanks, and I'll see you all soon.